What if the biggest obstacle in your success is not external but internal? The main obstacle that surrounds us without achieving professional and personal success is usually what is inside us. The concept of the ego in our present age is a fundamental challenge that affects the course of many people's lives. The ego, in its precise definition, is beyond just feeling pride, which influences our decisions and behaviors. The book, Ego is the Enemy, by Ryan Holiday, presents a deep analysis and scientific methodology to deal with this challenge. This valuable writer presents advanced strategies and methods of managing the ego based on documented studies and real-life experiments through adopting the systematic way of self-reflection and practical humility, can gain the necessary skills to control the ego. This methodology is necessary to achieve permanent professional and personal development, where it establishes a balanced mentality that focuses on real growth instead of self-sufficiency. The control of the ego is a key element in the balance of success, as not adjusting it may lead to unwanted results. The opportunity is now available to take touchy steps towards positive change. This book provides practical tools and strategic vision to control the ego, which guides the way towards achieving full potential and permanent success. Welcome to the Audiobook channel. If you are looking for content that is inspiring and useful, we are here to present to you the best we have. We present tips on self-development and reviews of books, and lots of exciting content that will help you achieve your goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to receive new videos. Join us in this fun journey and share your ideas and comments in the videos. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the channel. Strategic silence and practical work. In facing new challenges, we must realize that the feeling of excitement and anxiety is a natural and expected thing. Searching for external reassurances, despite its attractiveness, does not represent the ideal approach to dealing with these feelings, as it provides us with the direction of our energy towards serious internal reflection and work. The need for appreciation and social recognition is an understandable thing, but we must realize that exaggeration in our plans with others may have a negative impact on its achievement. Silence, in fact, is a strategic force that is not underestimated, and it is a mark that distinguishes the successful leaders and the distinguished experts. From a scientific and practical point of view, exaggeration in talking about goals and ambitions leads to a decline in the possibility of achieving them, creates a delusion that is deceived by the achievement, which weakens the real defense towards serious and persistent work. Perhaps Upton Sinclair's experience in the elections of the governor of California in 1934 gives us a valuable lesson in this context. He published a book describing his future success as a governor of the state, talking about his achievements in the past before they were achieved. Despite the book's commercial success, this work has damaged its campaign by revealing its strategies to compete with it and creating a false sense of accomplishment. True success requires a firm commitment to perfect and calm work, away from the unwholesome hustle and bustle. Strategic silence and work are the two key keys to achieving to be or to do. In our contemporary world, sincerity for oneself is seen as a fundamental value that cannot be balanced. The effort towards originality and to avoid making forms the foundation stone for real success. The desire for behavior and intentions opens up a wide range of successful achievements. The individual who acquires honesty with himself is definitely distinguished by his connections with others. When trying to achieve goals, the defender must be a positive influence in the society, not just gaining fame or building a personal name. This principle is reflected in the story of the John Boyard doctrine, the distinguished fighter plane who was famous for his exceptional abilities in air battles. Despite his high performance, he did not seek high ranks. He even made his efforts to develop air forces through his work as a consultant and a main trainer in the Air Force Base, where he contributed fundamentally to the development of F-15 and F-16 aircraft. Boyard's approach was distinguished by providing strategic consultations to the Ministry of Defense without trying to obtain public appreciation or personal rewards. He did not try to make his name by the names of the authors or the name of military facilities, but rather focus on providing a pure national service that exceeds individual interests. This model confirms that the real value of achievements exceeds official positions and honors. External success comes when we exceed the limits of personal interests and make our efforts to serve a larger cause. Great achievements are achieved when we defend the service of society and not limited personal savings. Be a student. The continuous effort towards academic knowledge and development is a fundamental pillar in the path of a distinguished student. The commitment to the way of learning throughout life and to constantly opening up to the acquisition of new knowledge, especially in the fields that are doubted by the intellectual fragility, forms the foundation stone in building a comprehensive scientific personality. This method of learning enhances comprehensive understanding and improves the ability to adapt to changes. The ability to be proud of a certain level of achievement and belief to reach the top of knowledge is a vital part of the scientific development process. The real progress is in the research of the Dadub about the guidance of the experts of expertise and efficiency, and accepting their observations with a warm heart without collapsing from the difficulty of learning. And the scientific humility of the student provides an exceptional power. Let's understand this through a story. Kirk Hammett, the well-known guitar player known for his exceptional education, was almost 20 years old when he was chosen as the main guitar player for Metallica. After a short period, he presented his first big show. Despite years of playing the guitar, Kirk was humble. He admitted that he still has a lot to learn. He started looking for a teacher to improve his skills. In the head of San Francisco, he found an exceptional teacher named Joe Satriani. Joe's musical style was completely different from Kirk's, but Kirk chose him as his mentor to learn something completely new. Joe quickly determined Kirk's weakness and helped him with its treatment. Kirk was like the sponge. He was always trying to learn new things. Unlike many other students, he was always trying to improve himself, and he was very interested in all the lessons. Over the last 2 years, he has been getting positive feedback, and he has been working on his skills. As a result, Kirk has gained a reputation as a great guitarist. How did he achieve that? Kirk put his ego aside and he accepted that there was another person has a greater knowledge of music. By adopting this modesty, he was able to learn unparalleled lessons from Joe, which ultimately led to the perfection of his skill. If Kirk hadn't been a student, he wouldn't have improved. He became famous for playing the guitar not by being passionate about it, but by adopting the mentality of learning that took him from being famous to being truly great. If he thought that fame means that he knows everything, he would have reached greatness. This story reminds us that we must continue to learn, with the confession of humility that others know more than us. As the saying goes, when you do like the teacher. But when you learn with the humility of the student. The danger of early arrogance. Overwhelming arrogance forms a fundamental barrier in the path of achieving goals, where it represents a barrier between man and his ambitions. Adopting the idea of superiority over others is a method protected by dangers, for the unbalanced itself carries seeds of destruction in its wings. Let us contemplate in this context the experience of the famous scientist Benjamin Franklin. When Franklin, 18, returned to his hometown in Boston. After 7 months of absence, he achieved a successful financial success and appeared with a magnificent appearance, a handsome, elegant, and expensive watch. The signs of his worship were on his face, showing his achievements in front of his family and acquaintances. On a certain occasion, his path with the famous character Cotton Mather was cut off, and while they were walking and exchanging the speech, Mather warned him, "Beware and beware." Besides, Franklin, busy with the chase, did not turn to the lowly audience in front of him, so he shook his head strongly. When Mather, with wisdom, raised his head to the point of being beaten. This situation was fundamentally transformed in Franklin's thinking, as he realized the extent of his selfishness to his personality. He has a principle in facing his arrogance, known for its negative impact on his personality. This lesson extends to include all human beings. When arrogance prevails, life often interferes with the return of balance. Enlargement is a source of pride, and it keeps us away from the virtue of modesty. Therefore, it is necessary to control the soul and strive for a modest life. This balanced mentality enables us to overcome the challenges of life with wisdom and steadfastness. The delusional ideas of success. The effort towards distinction requires a strong commitment and continuous effort, where continuous success results in whether it is a job or a commercial project, we are moving towards a set of idealistic ideas in our imagination about the path of future success. These previous ideas may pose a complete danger, as they are mere illusions that have not yet been fulfilled on the ground of reality, and may lead to the proliferation of the self and early delusions. This concept is clearly reflected in the experiment of the trained who took on the role of leading a diverse football team. During just 3 years, Walish was able to turn this modest team into the heroes of the Super Bowl through an organized approach that focuses on the most accurate details. His approach to the athletic performance was not limited, but extended to include the personal behavior of the players, where he imposed strict standards for cleanliness and discipline. Despite the wide media coverage of his genius, Walsh was wise and avoided the risk of being deceived by the praise, realizing the dangers of being deceived. But unfortunately, the team was unable to maintain this psychological balance. With the increasing success, the lack of overwhelming confidence and their arrogance turning their achievements into an overwhelming self-pleasure led to this negative transformation, to a noticeable decline in their performance, which is the biggest loss of the last 12 matches since the beginning of 2020. This is a reflection of the dangers of early celebration, because being immersed in the delusions of excellence leads to a decline in the level of performance and quality of work. Therefore, wisdom is about avoiding being deceived by exaggerated praise and focusing on continuing to work seriously. It can lead to overconfidence, and overconfidence which can have a negative impact on productivity and performance. To save yourself from this sluggishness, you must maintain balance and focus on the effort you have made, and leave the results that speak for themselves, without being immersed in delusional ideas about success. We cannot be deceived by our decisions. The achievement of professionalism requires a deep understanding of our fundamental priorities. Our human nature is pushing us in a repetitive way towards not being satisfied with our current achievements, tendency to excel others and achieve greater success. We begin our professional journey with a clear focus on our main goals. But once we achieve these goals, we start to think. We find ourselves drawn to paths that do not match our original vision, which we believe will enhance our success while it takes us away from our real goals. This mentality leads us into an area of non-realistic perceptions that are away from our original goals. Let's contemplate the exciting Ulysses Grant experiment for thinking. After the American Civil War, Grant gained a place in society. Despite his limited interest in politics, he began his professional life as a distinguished military leader. However, he later decided to strive for the highest political position in the country. Despite his success in reaching the presidency, his rule period witnessed unprecedented levels of corruption in American history. After 2 years of 2 leading contenders, he left his position. In an attempt to guarantee his financial stability, he joined an investment partner with investor Ferdinand Ward, a full investor of his wealth, in a financial intermediary project. Unfortunately, Grant was subject to the occupation by his partner, which led to his complete bankruptcy. His fall was a direct result of his desire to compete with the rich of his time, ignoring his fields of expertise and his true passion. He was forced to pay his expensive military salaries to pay off his debts. He has been fighting cancer for the last few years to provide for his family's livelihood by paying his memorials. Grant's tragedy is due to his uneducated ambition to overcome the areas of his real specialization, which turned him from the path that professional satisfaction had. Instead of focusing on his main qualities, by competing with others, which led to its tragic end. This experiment provides a valuable lesson about the dangers of losing the professional compass and allowing pride to direct our decisions. We should focus on the areas that distinguish us and make them the direction of our decisions instead of trying to achieve other achievements or trying to prove ourselves to society. The negative and the positive. The interaction with obstacles and challenges is a fundamental element in the professional and personal life. When we face obstacles, we look at them as opportunities for improvement and improvement. When facing any failure of the necessity to re-examine the maturity and determination to progress. And while it may be understandable, feeling hopeless. When things do not go according to plan, wisdom is in the lack of submission to these feelings, as new horizons await those who seek them. The writer presents a deep vision of two concepts that are in line with time: negative time and positive time. Negative time represents those periods that we spend in a state of silence and waiting for the uninvested, while positive time indicates the moments we invest in learning, developing, and achieving productivity. And to achieve excellence and success, we must make a bold effort to honor the positive time in our lives. Malcolm X's biography is an inspiring example of positive transformation as he moved from the life of a criminal to becoming a social leader. In his early youth, he was known as Detroit Red, from drug trade to robbery and murder, and he was in a state of panic and indecency. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison at the age of 21, which brought him and his community to the brink of his limitless prison life. He faced the reality of the 10 years behind bars. But this physical limitation became the beginning of a radical transformation in his life. He made a strategic decision by investing every moment of his time in learning and education through the prison library. He deepened his philosophy, religion, and history by turning his prison time into an opportunity to reform himself. He did not surrender to regret his past mistakes, but chose to invest his time in positive development. When he was released, Malcolm X did not just change his personal life, but became an inspiration for many as a defender of human rights and a pioneer in the life of humanity. His story confirms that the opportunity to change is always available to those who seek it. As long as will and determination are available, time is always suitable for positive change. We must choose to invest our time effectively, turning every challenge into an opportunity for growth and development. The lack of tolerance for arrogance affects our judgment. In professional and personal life, each individual faces challenges and mistakes that are inevitable. Nevertheless, wisdom is about how to deal with these situations with wisdom and balance. The tolerance for arrogance affects our decisions at difficult times. It can lead to consequences, gives us every day a new opportunity to progress and evolve. It is important to preserve the dignity of the individual, no matter how difficult the circumstances are. The challenges, no matter how hard they are, remain a barrier, symbol of a flag, which is a concept that we must correct. And maybe the story of John DeLorean is a good example of that. When his company faced more financial difficulties for cars, he made a final decision. Instead of accepting reality and dealing with it wisely, he went to an unproved solution. He went into a huge drug deal estimated at 420 RATL in an attempt to save his established institution. The result was disastrous, as he was arrested in a deal worth $60 million, which completely destroyed his professional reputation. He became an example of the falling of the drug lord, and the only person responsible for his fate. DeLorean allowed his "It is important to understand the difference between patience and confusion, and to know when to withdraw is the best decision. Failure is not the end of the tunnel, but an opportunity to learn and evolve when we face it with wisdom and wisdom. The depth of commitment and the truth of giving. The effort behind personal interests and personal gains can be a path covered with dangers. It is necessary to put our efforts towards achieving the general benefit that exceeds the limits of our individual interests. In our professional life, we may face situations where the results of our expectations exceed, and sometimes we find ourselves in situations that exceed the level of our control and may affect others with the fruits of our efforts. In these tense moments, pride may be put to ourselves, but keeping humble remains a key to sustainable success. Focusing on the value of effort instead of focusing on the results represents a more wise approach. History presents a clear example of the character of the prominent military commander to the interests of Byzantine Empire, and he contributed to the recovery of Rome from the control of barbaric tribes. However, his achievements didn't come with the right appreciation, as the success of what the Emperor Justinian feared had affected him, who ordered to destroy his reputation and expel him from his possessions and his position. Rather, this was beyond his control and forced him to embezzle, driven by a zeal and a fear of the growth of his fame. Despite this clear injustice, he kept his character's dignity, avoiding the possibility of being controlled by his own soul. He realized that other people's perceptions were out of control, and he chose to remain faithful to his basic principles. He was deviant in serving his country, and he was over-exaggerating his efforts for rewards and appreciation. He was distinguished by his principles in facing it reminds us of his story, of how the true greatness is revealed in the depth of commitment and honesty in giving, not in the manifestations of external appreciation. The true value lies in the noble purpose and honesty of the essence, exceeding the limits of permanent recognition. The last one. This author reveals to us a fundamental scientific fact. The early announcement of our future plans may have a negative impact on the possibilities of its realization. When we break our ambitions before they are realized, the human mind is forced to deal with these goals as if they had already been achieved, which leads to the decline of the conservative and the defensive, is a critical aspect of success. Humility maintains our connection with our origins and roots, even in the prime of our achievements, and without a doubt, the success of our work may lead to self-increasing, which may lead to a wrong belief in absolute knowledge. And this, in itself, is a major obstacle in the face of development and progress. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain a constant learning position. Knowledge has no limits, and every new information helps in the development of the self in a positive way. The absence of building imaginary concepts for success is a vital matter, as these concepts may lead to jealousy that harms our professional future. Failure is a common human experience, and the mistake is not in committing mistakes, but in not learning from them and repeating them. No matter how many traces, the opportunity to start anew is always available. The balance in self-seeking, with keeping modesty and integrity and continuing to learn, forms the strong foundation for overcoming challenges and achieving sustainable success. These solid principles guide the way towards achieving goals with efficiency and effectiveness, while maintaining the fundamental values for personal and professional development. If you like this summary, make sure to watch our other videos to learn more about books and life-changing lessons. Until next time, keep learning and growing.